Where's Aegon?
I've not seen him, my prince. I will ask the Septons.
Where the fuck is he?
A hedge knight just rewrote the entire history of Westeros. And the best part? He hasn't even realized it yet. Welcome back to Game of Thrones Secrets. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing the season finale of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, Episode 6, called The Morrow. But don't let the short length fool you, because what happens in these 31 minutes, and what it all means for everything that's about to go down, is absolutely bonkers. We're talking about the aftermath of all of this, which will ripple for over 100 years, straight into Game of Thrones. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to never look at Dunk and Egg the same way again. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now and turn on notifications. We break down every single thing in this universe, and you don't want to miss a single video. But before we get into episode 6, let's briefly set the table, because what happens in this finale is built on what happens in episode 5.
I withdraw my accusation.
Dunk won the trial of 7. He made Aerion Targaryen surrender. He survived the most brutal 7-on-7 fight we've ever seen on the show. However, his victory was hollow because, as the dust was still settling, Prince Baelor Breakspear, the hand of the king and heir to the Iron Throne, asked for assistance in taking off his helmet. When they removed it, the back of his head was attached to it because his own brother Maekar's mace had caved it in during the heat of battle. Baelor fell backwards and never blinked again.
Hawk and sail, make merry. I'll sharpen that iron of yours so you don't make such a...
That's where we are in episode 6. The final scene shows Dunk being very badly injured, with Lyonel Baratheon and a maester standing over him. The maester is clearly concerned about how serious his injuries are. Lyonel, played magnificently by Daniel Ings, dismisses the entire affair, brands the maester a witch, and then invites Dunk to join him at Storm's End, to live there forever, and tells him that he will love him like a brother. Then, immediately after, he tells him that if he does not, he will hate him like a brother. This is, without question, the most Baratheon sentence ever spoken within the world of Westeros. Robert, Stannis, Renly. They all have so much in common with this man, and they do not even know it. Dunk, however, does not accept his offer. This is where the show starts to reveal its true intentions. Dunk is not merely tired or injured. He actually believes that being around him gets people killed. Baelor died on his arms. Then Raymond Fossaway finds him. Raymond is the man who was on Dunk's side during the trial, against his own cousin. He introduces Dunk to Rowan, the woman he is now claiming as his wife. Dunk knows the whole story about who Rowan is, but he doesn't say a word. He lets Raymond have his happiness. And that one decision reveals a lot about Dunk as a character. Then Egg shows up, and he has obviously been listening to everything. Dunk calls him out, Egg lies about eavesdropping, and Dunk puts him in his place. He tells Egg that he can't take him as his squire anymore. He's had enough of princes, enough of it all. Egg fires back that maybe Dunk isn't the knight he thought he was. That hurts. Egg walks away, and the distance between them feels real for the first time this season. And here, in the series, we get a flashback. We go back to Ser Arlan of Pennytree, Dunk's old mentor, the man who raised him and taught him everything. In the flashback, Arlan is telling Dunk a story. Dunk asks Arlan why he never formally knighted him. The truth comes out, and it is left unresolved and painful. Dunk asks, "Did you think I would leave you?" Arlan doesn't answer. Dunk lowers his head, thinking that his mentor has just died. But Arlan wakes up. He completes his story. He says that a true knight always completes a story. And then he actually dies. This flashback is doing some serious work. Dunk is at the lowest point of his life, and the series is reminding him of what the man who raised him believed in. You keep going. You complete what you started. A true knight always completes the story. And then, in the present, Dunk walks over to a tree near a stream and nails a penny into the tree bark. This is his way of honoring Arlan, of saying that he was here. This is a quiet and heavy moment in the way that it should be. Now the scene that everyone is going to be talking about. Dunk goes to face Prince Maekar. It is one of the heaviest conversations of the entire season.
Some men will say I meant to kill my brother. The gods know it is a lie, but I will hear the whispers to the day I die.
Prince Maekar is grieving. He is also carrying the burden of the knowledge that his own mace killed his brother. He tells Dunk, quite simply, that people will talk about Baelor's death. He cannot help what they will say. The gods know the truth, but the world will not care. The actor, Sam Spruill, plays the role of Prince Maekar perfectly. He is not evil. He is not Baelor. And somehow, between the two, the future of Westeros is decided. Prince Maekar tells Dunk that he needs to take Egg to Summerhall and train him properly. Dunk will not do that. He tells Prince Maekar that he cannot serve him. He cannot take the garrison, the fixed post, the life within the walls of the castle. He tells him something that stops him cold. He is done with princes. He walks out, knowing that the only way to be good is to refuse what everyone else thinks is opportunity. Now this dialogue is extended from how it occurs in George R.R. Martin's original novella, The Hedge Knight. In the book, this dialogue occurs in a shorter form. The show has extended it and made Meekar's defiance more difficult, which puts more tension on what Egg will do next. Before we move on to the conclusion, there is one more scene that we should point out. Dunk encounters Prince Daeron, the more gentle and dreamy of Meekar's sons, who has been avoiding fighting and drinking all season long. Dunk does not give him an easy pass. He tells Daeron that men died on that battlefield because of him, because he did not stand up when he had the chance, because he hid while others fought and died. Daeron has no defense against this. Dunk turns and walks away, and this scene marks the end of a loop that has been building since episode 1. In the books and the lore, his story does not improve. He dies young. The show, however, has already been telling this story through his actions all season. This goodbye feels like a closing door, not an opening one. And then finally, there is the ending. This is some good TV. Dunk prepares to leave. No plan, no lord, no destination. He has 2 horses, Chestnut and Thunder. He had already given Sweetfoot to Raymond earlier in this episode. He stands there, talking to Chestnut, wondering where the old man would go, because of course, Chestnut does not speak. And then Egg appears, dressed once again as a commoner. Not a Targaryen prince, just a boy on the road. He tells Dunk, "My lord father says I am to serve you." Here is the thing. That is a lie. Maekar absolutely did not say that. Egg ran away. He chose Dunk over his own family, and he told Dunk whatever he needed to hear to make it work. Dunk gives Chestnut to Egg, tells him to stay off Thunder, and they ride off together. Egg corrects Dunk on his incorrect reference to the 7 kingdoms, pointing out that there are actually 9. Crownlands, Westerlands, Stormlands, Riverlands, Iron Islands, the North, the Reach, Vale of Arryn, and Dawn. Dunk is speechless. And in the best little touch of the whole season, the title card that normally says a Knight of the 7 Kingdoms actually changes to read a Knight of the 9 Kingdoms, as Egg makes this correction, and it flashes on screen for just a second before the credits roll, and it is just perfect. The ghost of Ser Arlan rides alongside them briefly, then goes his own way. He finished his story, and now they get to start making their own. And the final shot? Maekar bursting through the Targaryen procession, asking where Egg is. Where the hell is he? The guard hasn't seen him. Egg is long gone. He ran, he lied, and he would not have had it any other way. Now let us discuss what this episode actually means in the larger picture, because this is where things shift on a generational level. Baelor Breakspear was heir to the Iron Throne. He was, by most accounts across the books, one of the most capable and genuinely good rulers the Targaryens ever produced. He died defending an insignificant hedge knight in a trial that should never have been his problem. And from that one event, the course of the entire continent is quietly set in motion. This is the chain, and listen carefully, because this leads directly to Game of Thrones. Baelor dies. His son Valar inherits the throne. But very soon after the tournament at Ashford, a plague known as the Great Spring Sickness breaks out in Westeros, killing tens of thousands. Among the dead, Valar, his younger brother Mutterese, and King Daeron too himself. The whole first line of succession is wiped out in one epidemic. The throne does not yet pass to Maekar. Instead, it passes to Daeron II's second son, Aerys I. Not the Mad King, but a wholly different Aerys. This one was a bookworm and a hermit who had no interest in ruling. He delegated most of the ruling to his hand, a man named Bloodraven. Aerys I rules for 12 years, produces no heirs, and when he dies, the throne passes to Maekar, the 4th son, the one who accidentally killed his brother. Maekar was never meant to be king. He was a soldier, the spare of a spare. A fourth son who became king by default because of plague and tragedy that had wiped out everyone in front of him. When Maekar finally dies, his succession is a disaster. His eldest son Daeron is already dead. His second son, Arlan, died from drinking wildfire, which is just so perfectly Aryan. The third son, Aemon, had taken the maester's chains and withdrawn from the line of succession, gone to the wall. So, the throne passes to the fourth son of the fourth son, young Aegon. Egg becomes Aegon V, or Aegon the Unlikely. The nickname says it all, really. Egg was never meant to be king. He was the spare of a spare of a spare. He had, however, spent years traveling the roads of Westeros with Dunk, sleeping in ditches, seeing how the smallfolk lived. So, he rules with a real interest in the smallfolk, and tries to get some reforms through that will help them. The problem, of course, is that the lords hated this. The lords had no real fear of the Iron Throne, since they didn't have dragons backing it up. So, they opposed Egg at every turn. Over the years, Egg becomes more and more obsessed with the idea of hatching dragons. Not for conquest, just for leverage. So, that he might actually get some order out of these recalcitrant lords. This obsession, and these years of frustration, leads to the tragedy at Summerhall. Egg brought his family together at the Targaryen summer home, Summerhall. He had dragon eggs, pyromancers, and wildfire with him. He performed a ritual on the dragon eggs. But no one knows what really went on there, although it is intentionally left unclear in Martin's world building. What is known, however, is that a fire broke out and engulfed the castle, resulting in Egg's death in the flames. Egg's son, Duncan the Small, died with him. On the same fateful night, Egg's granddaughter, Rhaella, gave birth to a son on the very same night that Egg died in the flames. This son would become Rhaegar Targaryen. After the events at Summerhall, Egg's second son, Jaehaerys II, became king, but he only ruled for 3 years. He did this because he was influenced by a prophecy from a woods witch, which led him to force his own children, Aerys and Rhaella, to marry each other, which he believed would bring about the prophecy of the prince who was promised. They had 3 children, Rhaegar, Viserys, and Daenerys. Aerys II became the Mad King. He is the cause of Robert's rebellion. He is why Ned Stark's father and brother were burned alive in King's Landing. He is why Jon Snow's parents had to go into hiding. He is why Daenerys was raised in exile. He is, in a very real way, the cause of every major event in Game of Thrones occurring as it does. Episode 6 is a quiet one. It is 31 minutes long. It contains no swords, no fighting, no plot surprise. But it is the one where Dunk and Egg set their sights on a future that will shape Westeros for the next 100 years. The show itself has done something that the entire franchise has desperately needed. The Game of Thrones brand was huge when the show first premiered in January 2026. The final seasons of the original show left a bad taste in the mouths of millions of fans. The second season of House of the Dragon was not as good. This show has reminded fans of the importance of the world. Not because of the wars for the throne, because of the people. A large man that wants to be good, and a small prince that wants to learn the world he will inherit one day. And every quiet second between Dunk and Egg, every joke, every fight, every step down the road, is leading up to that end. That is the pressure that is beneath this show that makes it painful in a way that most television is not. The final episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is not the most exciting finale you will ever watch, but it is a true one. It does not create drama. It simply observes the aftermath of something terrible and watches 2 very different men choose to move forward anyway. Dunk could have gone to Storm's End with Lyonel. He could have gone to Summerhall, but he rejected all the comfortable choices because comfort was not the point. The point was to be the kind of person Ser Arlan would be proud of. Egg could have stayed with his family. He lied and ran because he already knew that the road with Dunk teaches him more than any castle ever could. A true knight always finishes the story. And this story is just getting started. If you made it this far, thank you. That genuinely means a lot. If this breakdown helped you, hit the like button because it helps this channel reach more people who love this world. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. We will be covering every season of this show, every book connection, every lore detail you need to know. Drop a comment below. Who do you think was the most affected by Baelor's death in the long run? Do you think Maekar truly meant to kill his brother, or was it a horrible accident? And are you ready for Season 2? I read every comment. See you in the next one.